The National Guard has been deployed to the streets and a federal emergency has been declared. Biden has officially declared a federal emergency. And the National Guard has been deployed because mass looting is happening right now and driving bans are happening right now. Nobody's allowed to leave, nobody's allowed to enter, nobody's allowed to drive in certain cities right now, right? So this is happening, and this is a byproduct of this massive storm that we had. So let's get into some of the details here, and then I will show you some of the pictures of how bad it got, and I will show you some of the pictures of the looting, all this stuff that's going on here. But let's get into the details first. It says blizzard of the century, toll rises, military to enforce driving ban in Buffalo. All right. So this is what we're heading towards, okay? We just have a snowstorm and we have the military enforcing driving bans. We have people losing their minds, mass looting, all from a snowstorm, right? It just shows how fragile society is and how easy people can just pop off, right? Minor inconveniences. I know this snowstorm is massive, but it's also one of these things. You live in Buffalo, New York, one of the snowiest places on earth, okay? Literally snowiest places in the country for sure, and you're not prepared for this and society breaks down. It's just kind of sad that we get to this point. So a driving state of emergency remains in effect in Erie County, and Paul Cars said police will start issuing summons to people driving around, quote, joyriding in violation of the driving ban. He said the city of Buffalo remains impassable. A driving ban remained in effect for the city of Buffalo Tuesday, but Paul Cars said people were not heeding the ban and getting stuck, causing delays for emergency vehicles, snowplows, and other large pieces of equipment trying to clear the streets of mountains of snow and abandoned vehicles. He said 100 National Guard police officers and additional New York State troopers are expected to mobilize in Buffalo Tuesday to prevent unauthorized vehicles from entering the city. So travel bans are happening, and it's just why do we have to get to this point? I'm sure there were blizzards 40 years ago, 80s, 70s, 90s. Every decade there's probably a massive blizzard, but why are we at the point where society's deteriorating so much that there's mass looting? And he's even saying that, we'll get to this in just a second, but gas stations can't even refuel the emergency vehicles because people are looting the gas stations and destroying the pumps. So why? Who's doing this? Who's doing this? Is this organized? What's happening here? This is very strange and dystopian and just sad for our society. Quote, people are just not obeying the driving ban, said Paul Cars, justifying the use of military to enforce the ban. So we have to have the military doing everything. The military, just like in Britain, the military's on the streets in the UK they're operating ambulances. They're literally driving the ambulances because they're on strike, right? They had to call in the military for that. It's just the military just has to do everything apparently, even though this isn't their job. All right, this isn't what they're supposed to be doing. Daniel, they're supposed to be protecting the country. Daniel, and I'm thankful they're helping, but it's just like, how can we not handle this? That's my point. How is our society not capable of handling events like this? So they also said that the Erie Commissioner of Emergency Services said more than a dozen gas stations in the county have been reported inoperable because, quote, because the convenience side of them has been looted and the equipment inside has been rendered ineffective, and thus the pumps for the fueling are ineffective. So all these gas stations, I'll show pictures of it in just a second, have been looted too. So they're destroying all of the equipment, so they can't even process any payments at gas stations all over Buffalo and New York right now too. It says looting was hampering emergency vehicles from fueling up. This is what the Emergency Services Commissioner in Erie County. So one giant snowstorm and people just lose their mind. It's just dystopian, right? And Biden has officially declared a federal emergency. President Biden approves emergency declaration for New York counties. This was just approved this morning to give them federal disaster relief and has declared it a federal emergency. And let's just see, all right? Every single fire engine was stuck in the snow in Buffalo, according to the New York governor, all right? This is what happens. You can't depend on emergency services. Tons of people have perished because emergency services can't even get to them because of the snow. All right. That's how it is. You just are stuck for a few days. You could see here another police car buried in the snow with a car right next to it. All right. You think you're safe. The police are there. You're not safe. You have to be smart. You have to be vigilant. Dozens of people have lost their lives stranded in their cars from this event. All right. Tons of other people, homeless, very sad, have been found on the side of the road too. I don't want to show any of that, but it's happening. There's videos and pictures of it all over too. Just people just finding bodies all over, all right, just in the snow. You can see here another fire truck was stuck inside the snow here. All right, you cannot depend on emergency services when there's an actual emergency. This is the point I'm trying to make here. You guys have to be prepared. When there's an actual emergency, when it actually hits the fan, when people are actually looting and you can't call 911, this is what happens. The emergency services actually can't help you in an actual emergency. All right, because they can handle people individually having minor little emergencies in their life, like, oh, somebody needs help here or there, but a societal wide emergency, they cannot handle it. And in an actual emergency, you can't get emergency services. That's how it always is. That's how it is in hurricanes in Florida. That's how it always is. And you can see here, all right, tons of videos on Twitter. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Links down below if you want to follow me. But tons of mass looting on gas stations. All right, this video is from a gas station. You can see the screenshot here. You can tell the floor. These people are looting a fridge in a gas station and just vandalized, destroyed. People going in and out of these businesses here that people own. People own these businesses. People own these gas stations, especially gas stations. They're normally owned by, chain operators. They're normally owned by like families, by individuals operating a chain, and they're getting looted and destroyed and not even allowing emergency services to fuel up because they're destroying the payment processing equipment as well. It's just why. And you can see here, Dollar General. Watch as video shows dozens of people looting stores and shops after a major blizzard hits parts of Buffalo, causing people to be stranded with no supplies. People can be seen walking out with items. You can see this person here. They literally have one of those float carts, all right, to put goods on, to stack the shelves. They literally have one of these float carts. They just stole the float cart and just piled a bunch of stuff on it and are taking that home, all right? And it's one of these things, I understand people need supplies, but you live in Buffalo, New York. This blizzard started on the other side of the country. It started in the West, and you had days to prepare, and you just sat there and you weren't prepared. That's not an excuse to go loot Family Dollar. And it's just one of these things, or gas stations too. And it's one of these things that society is just, it's like we're just this close. Like, it doesn't seem like it, but all it takes is the power to go out. All it takes is for simple things like this, SNAP payments, EBT payments, processing not to happen, stores to be closed, a weather event. All it takes is some kind of event and society's right on the edge of a dystopia, right? Looting, military on the street, driving bans, being restricted, travel restricted. All right. So let me know what you think about this. Were you prepared for this storm? They're saying blizzard of the century here. I've seen a lot of people say that, we always have big storms, but I've seen data coming out of New York as well saying that they normally only have around 20 inches of snow at this time period, and they have over 100 inches of snow as well. So what's really going on? This is definitely a obscure event. Normally only 20 inches of snow by Christmas, 100 inches of snow, over 100. this year. So let me know what you think about these events. We've seen these weather. The White House, I've brought it up multiple times. I've showed the article 100 times. White House approves a geoengineering program to cool the earth. This was just approved in October, just a few months ago. And then this winter, a few months later, we have blizzard of the century in Buffalo, New York. It's 100 inches of snow and all this crazy stuff. So let me know what you think about this, guys. Thank you for watching. Stay prepared. Hit that like. Make sure you can defend yourself, protect yourself as well, because it's one of these things when there is an emergency, you can't call the police. You can't call the fire. You can't call the fire department. You need to depend on yourself. So make sure you can defend yourself, protect yourself as well. Because what if this was somebody's house? What if they were looting people's houses instead of Family Dollar? All right, it's bad enough they loot stores. What if the stores were empty? This was a prolonged emergency and started to move on to houses next. Okay, so get out the cities. This is your wake up call to get out the cities as well. This could happen anywhere. Buffalo, New York, right? This is happening right now. So hit that like, hit that thumbs up, hit that sub. Thank you guys for watching, and you guys have a big old blessed day.